life I can hold fire. But for me it's hell, it's also fire. Tough season, pagan ones. Sacred, blessed, pagan fire.
I DJ Trip the Hit Major.
Yeah. This shit loud. Oh, turn it up. Hey, 1, 10, 17. R.O.B.
Them blunts.
It's a million.
S.
R.5.
Pop this.
Hey! Yeah. Chick
Okay.
yeah. Chick top. Get the fault. Like mouth. Bang. If you ain't talking cash, I'ma let you have it. Let you have it. I'm never going broke, cause I gotta have it. Give it to Tetro said he only good at uploading the wallet. Woo. Thugger say he only good on that lean or that mileage. Boo Illuminati. What? I know the crew. I'm a freezer. Yeah. Know the crew. Come on. I'm a teaser. What? I got more hoes on bleeding now than pleasers. I got hoes from January all the way December wanna please me. Have you ever mentioned now you staking for your Mention now she melted and he shaking for they Asian donkey pitching niggas on they want it. Yeah. BJ.
We got this bitch moving.
Hey.
We got this bitch moving.
Push nigga.
We got this bitch moving.
Got this bitch moving.
We got this bitch moving.
This bitch really moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
We moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Bloody J. Moving.
Got that bitch moving on Roberts. Move. Don't fuck with you niggas homophobic. No. If you ain't finna use it, don't expose it. I'ma pull up with that thing out and unload it. Shit gon' go to explode. Wow. Take a look at the explosion. Ooh. And the paper so on. Them Hollands he rolling. And that nigga stitching. He a rat. He a rolling. Can't deny them statements. Nigga, you rollin'. You did. Are you an author? I guess that's why you get goosebumps when you see me. No R.L. Stein. In the club, throwing up gang signs. Well, YSL, I'm R.L. Slime. I really love my slime. I do. And my slime love me. BLA, we in love with the beat. Moving. We got this bitch moving.
Push nigga.
We got this bitch moving.
Got this bitch moving.
We got this bitch moving.
This bitch really moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
We moving.
We got this bitch moving.
We got this bitch moving.
We got this bitch moving. All these junkies tryna get up in my house, boy, I got to clear it out. Got it moving. That is still on the fucking pipe. Little player, boy, keep it moving like a tidal wave. Little player sipping at the vent like a Gatorade. Inside the Aston Martin, boy, that shit Gator made. Little player, little Martian, boy, I'm strapped with a garment. Mama said I'm crazy, boy, I spend 50K on chinchilla carpet for my apartment. Triple cross king lifestyle I live, make you wanna vomit, hard to stomach. $1,000 pounds on the midget, boy, I spend that shit on my bitch titties. Let me shout out Quarter Key and my nigga Q, I did it.
Moving. We got this bitch moving.
Push nigga.
We got this bitch moving.
Got this bitch moving.
We got this bitch moving.
This bitch really moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
Moving.
We got this bitch moving.
We moving.
We got this bitch moving.
This bitch moving.
I live, I die, I live again. I'm coming with my army of skeletons. Bullhorns going hard, fuck this damn dog. Deep time me clear, God, I'm going. I'm on a crucifix, I'm a sinner. I never told her that I bought her a friend. I'm turning great pretending that I'm shining. But it's me, fucking bunch of damn skulls. I saw a white horse with an engine. Moved on the truck, yeah, I talked to him. Buried behind the church by the river. Fuck with me on the rainbow bridge. Murder rattles, They say I'm a damn night to the party shop. I'm a crucified hard bitch up on the cross. Fuck the world, I ain't dying soft. For a ride, I'm on the way.
be so hard. Not for you, not you. Charlotte takes the waiting day. Everyone dressed like the last. Stolen smiles a mile away. A sad reminder of the past. And she waits today, living like the sound of rain. And she waits today. Solitude.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a minute, about 10 days, exactly 10 days in fact, since I last streamed. Glad to be here. Sorry for the Touhou UFO jump scare there in the last couple seconds. Hello, Teyuos. Hello, Erwan. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. Before I get started, we're gonna go usual and do our prayers. Rei. Rei. かけまくも賢きいざなぎの神、つくしのひむかの立花の踊のわぎ腹に、みそぎ払えたまいしときに、なりまする払えどのお神たち、もろもろのまかご包みけがれ、あらもば払えたまい清めたまえと申すことを聞こしめせと、かしこみも申す。礼。高間の腹にかむつまります。すむらがむつかむろみかむろぎのみこともちて、やろずの神たちをかむつどえにつどえたまい、かむはかりにはかりたまいて、 あがすめみまのみことは豊足原の水尾の国を靖国と平けく城を示せとことよさし祭りき格よさし祭りしくぬちに荒ぶる神たちをばかむとわしにとわしたまいに払いたまいてことと石はねきねたち草のかき場もことやめて雨の岩倉放ち雨の八重雲をいつもちわきにちわけて天下しよさし祭りき格よさし祭りしよもの国中と大山と飛騨神の国を靖国と定め祭りて下つい羽に宮柱ふとしき立て高間の原にちぎ高しりてすめみわのみことの水のみあらかつかえ祭りて天の御影日の御影と隠りまして靖国と平けく城を示せと寒くぬちになりでむ雨のます人らが過ちをかしけむくさくさの罪ごとは甘包み国包みここだけの罪でむ隠れば甘つ宮ごとを持ちて甘つ金木をもと打ち切り据え打ち立ちてちぐらの沖蔵に起きたら走って甘つすがさをもと借り立ち据え借り切りてやはりに取りて先て甘つのりとのふとのごとのれかぐのれば甘つ神は雨の岩と押し開きて雨の八重雲をつにちわきにちわけてきこしめさむ国つかみは高山の末引き山の末に登りまして高山のいほり引き山のいほりをかき分けてきこしめさむ各気候を示してば罪という罪はあらじと死などの風の雨の八重雲吹き払うことのごとく明日のみぎりゆべのみぎりを朝風夕風の吹き払うことのごとく大粒によるお船たちお船をへとき放ちて大海原によし放つことのごとく落ち方の刺激が元を焼き釜のとがま持ちて打ち払うことのごとく残る罪はあらじと払えたまい清めたまおことを高山の末引き山の末より桜なりに落ちたぎつ早川の背にます瀬織りつ姫という神大海原に用いでなむ角持ちならば嵐よの潮のやじのやしおじのやいにます早きつ姫という神角持ちかかのみてむ角かかのみてばいぶきとにますいぶきと主という神根の国そこの国にいぶき放ちてむ角いぶき放ちてば根の国そこの国にます早さすらいめという神持ちさすらい失いてむ角さすらい失いてば罪という罪をあらじと払えたまい清め山おこと天津神国津神野郎津の神たちともに聞こしめせと申す諏訪湖のにお見渡りが現れますように礼My mic level seems a little low. Let me see if I can. I could just boost the gain and then sound like a YouTube poop. Hold on. Mic checking 1 2 3. Looks a little lower than usual. I don't know. If it's that low, that seemed a little better. That is the same? Worse? Better? Is this better? Maybe this is a little better? This mic is okay, not so okay. Sounds good to you? Okay. Just checking. Let me know if it's unbearable. I just think it's a little lower than it normally is when I'm speaking, so I'm just going to put my desktop audio down a little lower than I normally do. Okay. Anyway. ブーセツマカハンニャハラミタ新業漢字財宝作業人ハンニャハラミタ自称剣豪雲海空洞一切空役シャーリーシ式風意空空風意式式即税空即税式重創業式役分尿税シャーリーシー税商法空想風商風滅風空風上風増風減税航空中無式無重 創業式無限に微絶心意無式小公未速報無限界内し無意識界無無明薬無無明人内し無老死薬無老死人無空襲滅動無知薬無得意無所特攻膨大殺体はにゃはらみた更新無軽減無軽減公無空不音に一切天皇無双休業涅槃三税小仏へはにゃはらみた高徳あのくたら山脈三膨大高知はにゃはらみた税大人衆税大名衆税無常衆税無等々衆農場一切空真実風高校説はにゃはらみた収束説集圧ギャテギャテ腹ギャテ腹そうギャテ防止そわかはにゃ信行Alright, moving on to some Touhou. Maybe I'm even imagining that my mic level is lower than normal. I don't know. I haven't streamed in a bit. Thank you for confirming that things are okay, apparently. So I haven't streamed in 10 days, but I probably haven't played Touhou in, like, much longer than that, even. So, yeah, okay, I'm gonna turn this down even just a little more. Should be fine. Let me know if my voice is too quiet compared to the game audio. I'm gonna turn it down, down even a bit. Finally got the guts to go to being in time itself, and we're on the being in part right after the explanation of phenomena and logos. Nice. Yeah, the whole intro, I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't. The very intro part is a little confusing at first. So don't worry if you don't get all of it. Not his word salad. I need to like writing style. Yeah, I think you get used to it pretty quickly. The phenomenon and logos description he gives there, I feel like I didn't really even address it in the video because I feel like when you really read through the whole text, it doesn't have that much. I feel like it does. You can kind of get it without. There's a couple things like that I didn't touch on. Like there's also a big. There's a big thing about these terms ontic and ontological. And if you read a lot of commentaries, especially Dreyfus's, they talk a lot about ontic versus ontological. And I just never even discussed that because, frankly, I don't think you need to pay much attention to it to understand the meaning of the text as a whole. Even to the point where I would say I forgot some of the details of the ontological thing. But yeah, I wouldn't say the text itself is word salad-y. Like, the sentences are pretty well constructed, and I feel like maybe I might have over-exaggerated parts of that. Like, Heidegger isn't hard because, like, his sentences are poorly written or constructed. I think there's just a lot of vocabulary which gets used strangely. And yeah, if you have a Husserl background, I'm sure it's even easier to understand. Someone asked, how is my German? Non-existent. Well, that's an exaggeration. All of it I learned from Heidegger, and to a lesser degree Wittgenstein. I'd like to say I have above average pronunciation, but I can't, you know, I don't speak German. I don't read German. I like German though. If I could snap my fingers and know any language that wasn't Japanese perfectly, it would probably be German. Blackberry post Husserl. Yeah. I mean, I did it hard mode. I raw dogged into Heidegger without studying a lot of Husserl, which everyone says not to do, but I don't know. If you take that kind of thought seriously, you always just keep getting pushed back. Well, I can't know Husserl until I study what was going on in German philosophy at the time, so I need to know about Hegel, but I can't know about Hegel if I don't know about Kant. But I can't know about Kant if I don't know about Hume and Leibniz. But I can't know about Hume and Leibniz if I don't know Descartes. But I can't know Descartes unless I know the medieval scholastics. But I can't know the medieval scholastics unless I know Plato and Aristotle. And so on. Anyway, glad I could motivate you to pick it up. Hopefully my work can help elucidate parts of it to the degree that I've understood it at least. I think there's some, there's some parts of Being in Time which I still find difficult to understand. Especially near the end where he talks about Dilte, I think is how you pronounce his name. In the English-speaking world, we don't know much about Dilte. Fuck you, Milasa, dumb bitch. Kokasa slander. Play this game, and then you'll forgive me. What was your Japanese learning journey like? How long did it take? What method did you just learn? So, George Gecko? I don't know how to say it. You asked this question on that Q&A post I made, and I have an answer written down for it that I'm going to do when I make the answer to that Q&A video. By the way, if anyone's watching and doesn't know, when I get to 10,000 subs, I'm going to release something special. And, I mean, don't get your hopes too far up. It's not going to be, like, crazy, but special video, and I want to do a hopefully Ask Me Anything kind of Q&A. And if you have questions like that, please, that might require a little more in-depth, I have a community post on this channel that you can ask them on, or you can do them under any video, or you can email me. But I will answer it here too. Is my Japanese learning journey. I started learning in, I think it was 2011 that I really started kind of getting systematic about it. And I did that by, I took kind of leisure learning classes at a Japanese society. And my parents were kind enough to help support me. They got me lessons with a tutor. Tutor helped a lot. Then I self-studied. And by about 2013, I was having pretty decent little conversations. And then I continued studying Japanese in college. And I'd say by about 2016 or so, by 2017, I passed JLPT in 3. And then I passed N2 in... when was that? 2018. And JLPT 1 in 2019. But in 2018, I moved to Japan and studied there. Vodka every time Titus Mutandi. For Heidegger, that would be, what's that phrase he uses over and over? Proximally and for the most part. Proximally and for the most part. That's how it's translated in English. I think it sounds a lot less clunky in German. I don't know what language you're reading Heidegger in. I do like the Robinson translation, Macquarie Robinson, even though some of it sounds a little creaky. Latest book I've read? Let's see. So, I recently read a little book for some research I was doing called, Defending Pornography. What was it? Defending Pornography, Sex, Freedom, and the Fight for Women's Rights? Something like that, by Nadine Strossen. Which is a pretty good book about legal and philosophical arguments for the legality of pornography, written in the late 80s when there were a lot of laws attempting to censor pornography. And it was a really good, I mean, it was a little longish, but it gave a lot of good details about, good arguments for against the idea of obscenity laws, which is something I really appreciated. And then right now, I'm reading 2 books. I'm reading the Classic of History, which is attributed to Confucius. Actually, definitely not written by Confucius, but it's one of the 5 classics of ancient China, and it's one that Confucius references a lot. That I'm just kind of reading off and on. All the chapters are really short, so you can just kind of read like one a day. Then I'm also reading a big historical biography of George Washington by Ron Chernow, just called Washington A Life. And I'm enjoying that. I always like to read these big historical texts, especially when they're focused on a particular individual. And I don't know, it's the 250th anniversary of America's founding this year, and whether you want to call it a celebration or a protest, considering how things are going, I decided it would be appropriate to refamiliarize myself with its founding and its first president. Initially and for the most part, You have that Hamilton on your shelf. You have the Washington on his shelf. His Hamilton is great. Yeah, I can imagine. He's a really good, good writer. Accessible without sacrificing, you know, all the good, juicy kind of historical depth you want in a book like that. Someday I'd like to read a biography like that about Thomas Jefferson, because Jefferson was always, I guess, Jefferson was always the founding father or president that I liked best or respected most. Not that he was perfect. Reading it in Spanish, my native language, the translator worked directly with Heidegger himself, so it's very close to the German original. Closest thing to that is something in its property. Ah, interesting. Heidegger in Spanish, German to Spanish. Haven't thought about how that would work. I don't know exactly what parts of the German language there are that don't translate as well into English. One would think maybe there isn't too much that does, that isn't going to be a similar problem in translating Heidegger to any other European language. I mean, you know, English is a Germanic language, technically. So I don't know if Spanish is necessarily more or less appropriate for Heidegger, but it's all a matter of how talented the translator is, I suppose. And if they work directly with Heidegger, that's a really good sign, obviously. Mutatus mutandi, yeah. Was it the Kyoto School which initially got you into Heidegger? No, other way around if it's gonna be anything like that, because I haven't read much of the Kyoto School. I'd like to eventually make a video on Kyoto School, or maybe Kyoto School, or possibly just on Nishida Kitaro in general, because he seems to be the biggest figure there, but it's daunting. There's a lot less material to reference about Kyoto School in English. Tiny taps here. Oh, what? Come on. Come on. Oh yeah, constructing words from combinations in a similar manner. Yeah, I guess that would be the biggest advantage. I hadn't considered that in Spanish. I guess you can in English, technically, but a lot of them are kinda... a lot of them kind of resort to weird, having to use hyphens and stuff. Edith Steiner, the phenomenology. Nope. My phenomenology experience is very limited to Heidegger. And a little bit of Sartre, maybe, if that counts. I'm really not as wide-read on a lot of philosophy as it might sound. Like, most of my reading has been somehow or other in reference to or helping with understanding Wittgenstein and Heidegger, I would say. Oh, and I mean, and Buddhism stuff like Nagarjuna. Those are the big three. To the point where, honestly, like, I mean, I'm working on another project right now, and I don't want to give too much details about it away. But part of it is almost like there's a bit of a tension about it, because, like, these other guys, Wittgenstein, Heidegger, Nagarjuna, like, I had years worth of research on them before I ever started making videos like this, so it's like anything else, I'm almost as a necessity going to be less well researched on. Which is fine, I mean, I have to do the research and, you know, not rush it. But it's a little daunting. But I think I'm up to the task. Yeah, I know what you mean. Heidegger can be very... I think this is mostly a being in time issue, though. Being in time is very deliberate, is the word I would use. He belabors the point really, really exhaustively a lot of the time. His later writings, I think, become much more concise and much more pleasant to read, I would say, even though I think they're harder to understand. Get the fuck out of the way. Yeah, it's always interesting to see when you're philosophy professors to discover what their weird niche interest is. I've taken a couple philosophy classes in college, not actually as many as you might think, because it wasn't one of my majors or minors. I was a history guy. But, even though I might want to go back for like another master's or a PhD in philosophy someday, because it's what I enjoy most now. But one of the teachers I took from a class for was her specialty is Thomas Reid, who apparently is I haven't read anything by, but is a Scottish philosopher from the late 1700s, early 1800s, and apparently, she said, was when Kant was responding to Hume, that's kind of the response to Hume that got the biggest attention and made the biggest impact. But Thomas Reid was the Scottish guy who responded to Hume, and he did it before Kant. And his kind of Hume-inspired philosophy hasn't been as widely studied as Kant's, which is interesting. Then there was another professor who is one of my favorite professors I ever had a class with, but also one of the weirdest dudes I've ever learned anything by. Which, I mean, you know, philosophy attracts those kind of guys, I guess, but this guy was really another case. So I took a class by him about, like, Indian philosophical systems, like Vedic and Buddhist stuff. It's how I got into Nagarjuna, was in his class. But his real specialty was Indian stuff and Hegel. He was a big Hegel guy. But he was also just a really weird dude. I think the thing is he has prosopagnosia, which is like facial blindness. So he was very, like, as a guy, he was very, I would say, Aspie coded. But I think a lot of it is just not being able to recognize faces. And he warned us, like, hey, I might have trouble recognizing you in class sometimes. Like, I still learn how to recognize people, it's just stuff that you probably wouldn't think of, like the way people walk and move and stuff that isn't their face. But he had a really weird sense of humor, like, you know, when I was late to class one day, he was like, "Oh, you're just in time. We ordered a mid-Atlantic seafood buffet, and we asked you to pick up the bill. I hope you don't mind." Okay. Really nice guy though. At the end of the day, just don't be late for class. Drove him fucking crazy. Which, I mean, you know, I try not to be late to class. Very rare that I'm ever late to class. Picked up Jay Garfield's Middle Way book to Chop Way. Nice. The one that's the translation with the commentary. Yeah, I try to follow it pretty close in my Nagarjuna lecture, but I think, you know, there's definitely some points in there that he devotes more time to than me, so it's worth it for sure. Oh, nice. Yeah, American universities, the Continentals are always, you know, a discriminated minority amongst a minority. But the, that Indian, what is it, the Vedic philosophy Hegel guy, he did have a class, I think, on continental philosophy. I think this was before Ieyasu, or however you say it, kind of blew up and was famous. But I didn't take that class on continental philosophy, but I did have a friend who did. And I don't know everything they read in there, but they read some Heidegger. They read a lot of Heidegger in there, apparently. And Sartre. And I don't know who else. I'd be curious what was on that curriculum. Maybe into like Derrida or someone. Just Razor wearing a thong while reading Being in Time. That's really funny. Georges Bataille, not the not his nonfiction. I've read Blue of Noon and Story of the Eye, both of which I love, but haven't read any of the nonfiction. I think I've read the Solar Anus essay, or at least most of it, but that's it. I like Bataille, but I'm not sure. I never got into like the whole Nick Land, CCRU cult. Not to necessarily say I wouldn't like it. I feel like I'd probably find a lot to appreciate there. I've never dipped my toes into that wild side of stuff. Where would I put myself on the continental analytic axis? That's hard to say. I mean, I've read a lot more analytic. I feel like my mind tends to... I feel like that's kind of where my mood is at a lot of the time. But it's also kind of weird because, like, because Heidegger is one of my favorites. But I haven't read as much of other continentals, and a lot of the people working after Heidegger don't seem to interest me as much. I do tend to like, I do think a lot of the analytic stuff kind of, some of the analytic stuff feels kind of, for lack of a better words, I wish it had a little more spiritual kind of gravitas to it in the way Heidegger does. But I do tend to, I tend to feel like with a lot of the analytic stuff, there's more for me to kind of sink my teeth into and lingers with me more. But I honestly haven't read enough continental stuff to have a very informed opinion. I like Chioren too, based on a little bit I've read. Emil Chioren. I think that's how you say his name. Story of the Eye is crazy. Yeah, I first read that in high school when I was way too young to be. I wasn't too young to be reading it, but I'd seen worse shit on Newgrounds. Let's be real. The other day I was trying to look into getting a command line music player on my Arch installation, but it's really been proving to be a bitch. Just too bad. I really like, you know, I like to listen to a lot of music, and I like I really like a good music player that looks and feels cool. I use Quadlibet on Arch, which works fine. I just like to have one of those. I want to have a cool hacker command line music player, man. But I was trying to configure this one called. It has the worst name in the fucking world. It's, what is it? No Curses Music Player NCMP CPP. And then there's another one called RMPC, but both of those reply on this thing called MPC, or MPD, which is like a music player daemon, and I can't get the thing to fucking read my files. It keeps saying it doesn't have permission. If you liked Heidegger, I'd recommend going to Husserl before Sartre, Derrida, etc. It's somewhat similar, much more systematic, and appears like Dasein without being, much more room for application. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that is probably the direction I'd take. And then, of course, there's Merleau-Ponty, who, from what I understand, kind of, you know, he kind of followed after Husserl in a different way, and Heidegger, without he kind of stayed in the phenomenological space of being in time without going on to the more fundamental ontological stuff. I'm sure I'd enjoy that. Yeah, Story of the Eye is crazy, and Blue of Noon is really good too. I feel like that one's underrated in comparison to Story of the Eye. No problem. Thanks for coming in, genteel cretin. Just a 1cc Megatronin. I haven't played in, gosh, probably almost a month now, so I'm rusty. Which means I should probably not be resetting this much. But yeah, I have a new schedule I'm trying to hold myself to, because it's like, it's weird. On days that I don't, like, you know, whenever I'm not working, which I'm working right now, I'm off today. And I feel like when I'm not working, and when I've been like a NEET, I just waste the whole day away. But when I do have a job, it depends. Some days I'm really tired after work, but I feel like it also sometimes forces me to use my spare time more effectively. So while I'm off, I'm trying to hold myself to a really strict schedule so I can balance all the stuff I want to do as like hobbies and interests. And I've dedicated some time to trying to learn, like, you know, computer stuff for my Arch Linux distro, and trying to set up like SSH for my site, and stuff. But yeah, figuring out just how to get a music player to work is probably what I should do before trying to do stuff I eventually want to do, which is like set up video embedding on my website that I host myself, or ideally, what would be nice someday is to even have a streaming thing on my own website. Maybe like, and I want to look into SciTube and stuff like that too, but getting a music player working might be a good first step. I'd rather say Michel Henry is the closest to phenomenology after Heidegger and Husserl. Merleau-Ponty is too preoccupied with French fetishes, corporality, and the reivindication of the body. I see. Makes sense. you, bitch. Alright. Not good, but at least I'm into stage 3. It's fine. I'm gonna be sucking for a while. Fuck. Ah. Hey, hey, hey. It's kind of autistic, interesting social environment. It's harder once you get out of higher education, for sure. It's a lot harder to find people who are interested in this kind of stuff. So it's mostly something I do on my own. When I'm with like friends and family, you know, there's other interests which aren't as abstract as philosophy, like great movies, great art, anime, gaming, that kind of stuff. You know, I feel like I still express some of myself in that. But honestly, starting a YouTube channel and a website was a great way to, you know, find people who are interested in the same things as you are. So I don't really miss it in my daily life because I have so much of it on my online activity, for example. Fuck. I tend to find more people interested in this kind of topic at my Zen temple. Although it's not always philosophical, but we get to talk about Zen and things, so that's nice. Someone mentioned that Heidegger's philosophy was metaphysical Nazism before Nazism even existed. That's an interesting way to think about it. I think Heidegger would dispute the use of the term metaphysical, but I know what you mean. Some people have argued that Heidegger is on a end of philosophy that kind of moves away from rationality, and there's an idea in there that a move away from rationality could also mean a move away from universal values, which could mean a resurgence of a more Volkish, to use the Nazi term, kind of idea of what the world is and what it means. And I'll ground out what I mean a little more. Heidegger sees how we engage with the world as part of our... One way to read Being in Time is that part of how we engage with the world is based on the background structures of our society. How we understand, like, what things are. And a very crude reading of that could be, like, extrapolated to mean racially, like, hey, you know, Aryans just understand the world in a fundamentally different way from Jews, so there's no way they can be in the same society. I think there is a more charitable way to read Heidegger. Because I think if you really read closely a lot of his writings, especially post-Nazi era, he's very clear that he doesn't think that I guess intercultural communication, you could call it, is impossible. Nor does he think that you know, the contingency of being is divided on racial lines. Hopefully that made somewhat sense. I'm dodging bullets while I say it. On the earth, the soil. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the way I've always thought of it is like Heidegger seems like a soil nationalist, but not a blood and soil nationalist, if that makes sense. Like he's a lot more attached to being as part of nature. Anyway, oh, I didn't see your first message when you'll make a video about New Philosopher. I'm working on one. I really want to take my time. I don't like rushing these out, obviously. So, hopefully by the end of this year. Probably before then, honestly. But clue on who it is? It's one of the top 5, I think, in the poll I did a while back. Although, honestly, one reason I don't want to say is because I'm still reserving the right to change it and start over with a new one. Come the fuck back over here, you dumb bitch. Okay. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the top 5 were Kant, Hegel, Schopenhauer, Whitehead, and Nietzsche? Good at video games. Thank you. Good model of a man of letters. Can you give me a little more detail about what you mean by that? Fucking cunt Gasa. Come on, fuck you. I would really like to get to stage 5 at least one of these runs, but I haven't played for coming on a month, so maybe that's a little unrealistic and I need a little more de-rusting, I don't know. I should probably at least get a few attempts of this in every day, even if I'm trying to mostly focus on Higurashi reading. I think I got a little over-ambitious about Higurashi, thinking I was closer to the end than I am. I will be reading some on stream, though, don't get me wrong. Probably after this run, whether no matter what happens, I'm gonna take a little break and maybe play a little more. Then probably move on to Higurashi. Fuck. Okay, yep, taking a break. Fuck. I wish I was better at Touhou. Okay, I'll be back in 50 minutes.
I was there. times more than she can stand. Strange desire to leave this land, and she waits today, living like the sound of rain. And she waits today, solitude still away. Can't you tell it's just a game? The sadness of a summer breeze, stolen smiles a mile away, a broken wish, a thought that leaves.
is breaking free. From all the spells came to my head, sort of next on my destiny. I watch the stars turning blood red. There is light, yes, I've got to believe. For this feels like living inside a dream. I know now that I am lost in the Necropolis. Lost in Necropolis. Lost in Necropolis. Lost in Necropolis. I have seen your cities burning. I have felt your daughters yearning for the peace you had before the tides of war. I have witnessed Europeans burning bright with man's desire. I will fight the demon horde forevermore.
Lost in Necropolis. Yep. One of the best. Hi, Chubb. I think we were talking about this the other day, that there aren't many other Manila Road songs that are quite as good as this one, but I really like The Ram from this album, Crystal Logic, too. Cast no doubt to The Ram. And the title track, Crystal Logic, is also really good. Most of the other Manila Road albums I like, but I don't really remember specific songs from them. They kind of blend together more. No, it's perfect. Okay, so I'm feeling tired for more Touhou. So I'm going to move on to Higurashi. I was telling myself I'm going to wait until I'm done with Higurashi to start practicing drawing stuff again, but I have an idea for something to draw, and I'm not gonna do it on this stream because I need to set back up my tablet and just make sure everything's working and refamiliarize myself with how to do stuff in Krita. But I'm probably gonna start doing some more drawing experiments, even when I'm not done with Higurashi. Because I have more of this game. Well, I don't want to say I have more of it left than I assumed I would, because I assumed I'd still have quite a lot left, but maybe subconsciously I thought I had more than I really did. Anyway, I'm gonna try to read one chapter aloud. One fragment, that is. 記憶にすら残ろうとしないその奇怪な薬はカプセルだった気がする。いや、それとも、something 以上の大きめの、what was this again? 金剤? I don't think that's right. What is this? Okay, let's look these up. It was the longest one, even longer than 7. Dang. Well, alright. It's fine. I'm in for the long haul at this point. Yeah, 7 was definitely on the longer side. Deserved. Very good stuff, regardless. Dainjo. Okay. 錠剤 OK 毒々しい赤い色が特徴的でならカプセルに違いないあんなひどい赤をした錠剤なんて考えられないきっとカプセルだったに違いないそれとも普通のカプセルよりほんの一回り大きいものだったような気がする一回り一巡り Oh wait, no, wrong one 一回り OK 気がする思い出せないこんなにおぼろげな記憶でも私は再びあの薬を見せられたなら昨日のことのように思い出すに違いないのだあの薬は人間を奪う心を奪い記憶を奪い感情を奪い体を鉛のように重く空洞にするThat is correct. 空洞バカ何も考えられず何も興味が湧かず起きていたいとも眠っていたいとも思わない時間の経過すらも曖昧になりある時は気が遠くなるほどの時間を過ごしたにもかかわらず時計を秒針秒針が一つ進んだだけだったりある時は時計の So this would be 地震Yes 自身がぐるりと回っていくのが目で追えるぐらい早く進んだりするそのどちらであっても特別な感情は抱かせないただ布団の中に入って天井を磨いているだけにしてしまう薬なのだそれがどれだけ恐ろしく辛い薬かは飲んだ人間にしかわかるまいしかもこの薬の最も恐ろしい点は服用中にはそれが恐ろしいものであることに気づくことができない点なのだおぼろげな状態で日々恐ろしい薬であることにも気づけず次々と飲まされ続け私は永遠に私を失い続けるのだだから何かの突拍か偶然でその薬の100個が切れたとき私は二度とあの薬を飲んではいけないと気づいたそうこれは治療薬なんかじゃない私を円満に殺すために毒薬なのだ円満So it looks likeカンマンに殺すための毒薬なのだきっとこのまま飲み続けていればいつか私は生きているのか死んでいるのかもわからない状態に陥った劣ったまま永遠に私を取り戻せなくなるに違いないただただ無感情に天井を見上げ時計の針が回り続けるの だけをじっと見つめる永遠の日々に、再び薬を飲めば私はやっと取り戻せた思考を失う。そして二度と自分を取り戻せないかもしれない。それを自覚した日から私は薬を飲んだふりをして捨てるようにした。お医者で薬をもらったら、症状が回復しても最後まで飲み切りなさい。それは母の声。私が幼い頃に病院で薬をもらいたびに言われた母の声。薬がなくなる前に大抵元気になってしまい、残りの薬は飲まなかった私に諭した母の声。でもこの薬は違う。私がいくつの時に言われたのかも思い出せない母の声が、この毒々しいカプセルも最後の一粒まで飲み続けるように言うのを私は頭から追い出していく。両肘。Is that how you say this? Yep. 両肘でしっかりと頭を抱え、頭が痛み出すぐらいにぐっと押さえつけ、薬を飲み続けなければならないという思い込みと母の声を追い出していく。そう。頭のもやが薄れるに従い、優しかった母の醜い正体が思い出された。母は家族を裏切った。帰りを家で待ち、3人分の食事を用意していた私と父を裏切った。私たち家族の信頼を裏切り、その裏では別の男と見会を重ね、仕事が忙しいと称しては私たちと違う家族に身を置いていた。それだけでも重大な裏切りなのに、さらに母は開会しく世話をしてくれていた父に絶縁を突きつけるという大罪を犯したのだ。大罪。でもそれよりももっともっと許せなかったことがある。それは私とは相入れない家族に私を誘ったということだ。This is Reina talking, I'm pretty sure. 父を誘わず、私だけを誘った。父と私は家族だ。家族とは一緒ということだ。その家族を分かろうとした。自分の浮気だけでは飽き足らず、さらに私と父の関係まで引き裂こうとしたのだ。そうさ。こうして思い出せば、それはとても許せないこと、腹立たしいこと、憎んでも憎み足りない。眼球の奥がギリギリと痛み出し、激しい憎悪の感情が形相を歪めていることが自分でも分かった。溢れ出して止まらない憎悪。I think this is 憎悪 right? 憎悪 That's right. I read 憎悪 That's wrong. 憎悪は母を憎むだけでは収まらず、 その浮気相手である男にも向けられた。浮気相手の男、秋人おじさん。私をよくからかうので苦手だったが、お小遣いをよくくれる人で、私を喜ばせようとする楽しい人だった。大好きなおじさんだった。でもその優しさはすべて打算。私と父と母で作られた家族という結束を砕こうとするための打算なのだ。だから私は秋人おじさんのことを大好きなおじさんなどと言ってはいけなかったのだ。そうだ、そうさ。どんどん分かっていく、思い出されていく。私の本当の敵が分かっていく。母が浮気をしだしたのは秋人おじさんのせい。だって母は本当はとてもいい母だったのだ。それを悪い母にしたのは秋人おじさんなのだから。だから一番悪いのは秋人おじさん。その秋人おじさんが私の前に初めて現れたのはいつだったっけ？母と一緒にお出かけして、どこかのデパートでお昼を食べたときに、会社の友人だと名乗って同席したのが最初じゃなかったっけ？あの時、思えば一番最初のあの時、私は母の秋人おじさんに対する接し方に違和感とある種の気持ち悪さを感じたんじゃなかったっけ？そうだ、そうさ、確かに感じた。おかしいと思った。気持ち悪いと思った。あの長官を疑わなければよかったのだ。秋人おじさんがショートケーキのイチゴをくれただけでいい人だなんて思い込んでしまった自分はなんて浅はかだったのか。父には何の責任もない。父は秋人おじさんと会ったことは一度もなかっただろうから。でも私には責任がある。敵である秋人おじさんと何でも会い、そして敵であることを知れるようさまざまな機会があったはずなのだ。つまり私が今の幸せを守ろうという強い意志を持っていたなら、ちょっとしたごまかしなどに惑わされることなく、あの男を敵だと認識できたかもしれないのだ。あの日のお父さんを忘れられない。おっとりとしていて人のいいお父さんが自らの膝に爪を立て、涙をボタボタとこぼして泣いていたあの日のお父さんが忘れられない。秋人おじさんのことをしていたかとお父さんに聞かれて、私はしていたよと答えた。そしてお父さんに平手で撃たれた。撃たれて私はようやく気づけたのだ。私があの男にThis can't be 懐柔らかさ懐柔されていたのがどれほど愚かなことだったのかを。そうだ、そうさ、私のせいなのだ。私がいつまでも続くことを願っていた小さな幸せは、私が自分の手で打ち砕いてしまったのだ。私が愚かでなかったら、あの日にお父さんが涙を流すこともなかったし、お母さんもいい母のままでいてくれたのだ。私が愚かでなければ、私のせい。母が許せない。秋人おじさんが許せない。これほど呪いながらも、いまだにおじいさんと相性をつけて呼んでしまっている自分がそれ以上に許せない。自分のせいだった。すべてが自分のせいだった。私が愚かで間抜けだったから、このようなことになってしまった。憎くて悲しくて、悔しくて、 怒りが目覚めたが覚めなくて、母が再びこの家に戻ってくることがあったなら、この爪で引き裂いてやろうと思っていた。でも母が再び戻ってくることはなかった。行き場のない私の怒りは手に触れることができる母の痕跡すべてに向けられた。家の中に残る母が残していたものを片っ端から打ち壊してやった。片っ端から打ちつけ叩きつけてやった。でも私の怒りはその程度では収まらない。カツがびっくりかいたみたいになるまで荒らしても、私の行き場のない怒りはちょっとも収まらなかった。行き場。怒りはどこに集う？胸の奥から湧き出し、腕を取って指先に集まって爪からほとばしる。これ以上怒りを叩き続ける対象はどこに？そう思ったとき、私の爪は自然に我が身へ向けられた。そう、今や私の体自身が最も呪わしくて汚らわしかった。私がすべてを記憶で私が一番悪い。This is 記憶 Wait, no. 元凶 Right? Yes. 元凶で私が一番悪い。いや、私が悪くない。母が一番悪い。母が一番汚らわしい。自分の身も心もすべてが汚らわしい。リュグレナを汚し尽くし、残るのを肉の細切れだけにしてやりたかった。そんなある日、私はとうとう知ってしまう。私を満たす血液の中に、血管の中にいっぱいのウジ虫がうずめいていたことをしてしまう。うずめく、right? Wait, no. What's this word again? Gross bug word.うごめく。That's right. うごめいていたことを知ってしまう。そうさ、汚れた私は腐っていたのだ。体の内側から腐っていたのだ。腐って当然腐ってしまえ。でもそれは 例えようもないほどにかゆくてお風呂場でもも足を走る太そうな What is this again? Never seen this written this way. 太そうな血管にずぶりとカミソリを突き立てる。ぶっくりと血があふれ出た。赤黒い気持ちの悪いウジ虫があふれ立ってきた。生理的悪感に耐えながら私は両手の親指でぐっと開き血管のこじ開けてしみる。あふれ出るウジ虫。わらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわらわら。左のももの血管だけでこんなにもウジ虫があふれ出すのだ。ならば右のももの血管にだって同じくらいに詰まっているに違いない。いや、ふくらはぎの血管だって腕の血管だってお腹や脇、胸、いや首の血管の中にはどれだけのウジ虫が詰まっているのというのか。不思議なものでこれほどまでに狂気の熱に浮かされながらも私には同時に冷静な気持ちも残っていた。このまま全身の血管を開いていたなら最後には死んでしまうなと割と冷静に思っていた。でも全ては私の責任で私が一番悪くて母のせいにしたとしても母を汚すためにはもう私の体以外に残っていなくて。そうか、なるほど。私の怒りを終焉させるためにはこれが最善なんだってものすごく冷静に考えていたような気がする。私の身を許すには私以外の性が必要だったのだ。私以外の誰かのせい、そんなものは存在しない。どう考えようともどう境界しようとも私の体を汚すことが唯一の怒りのはけ口となるのだ。だから私以外の性が存在しない以上、私はこのまま全身の血管を開き続けなければならない。かゆいところをいくらかきむしっても満たされないように、私の体をいくら切って裂いても満たされない。お風呂場は私の汚らわしい年すいたNo, I'm done. 粘ついた血で真っ赤に汚れ、客観的に見たらきっとそれは恐ろしいまでに凄惨な光景だったのだろう。生産、いや、分かった。冷静を装いつつも、全身に走る列車の鈍い痛みは決してごまかせない。 血が触れすぎたせいなのか、湯気湯気のないお風呂場で裸体を晒し続けたせいなのか、全身が奥から凍るように冷たい。裸体、でも全身がじんじんとforget this 心臓が早金のようになる。早金。Okay, what's this one again?うずく、うずき。寒くて暑くて痛くて悲しくて腹立たしくて、自分を許すための何かを心の底から求めた。そうしたらその時訪れたのだ。それは Okay, so I read this as Kamigami-shi and I don't think that was right. Yeah, 神々しい光の中に訪れたように思う。とても神秘的で現実感を全く伴わないとても不思議な何か。それは謝った。ごめんなさいと謝った。どうして私に何かを謝るのだろう。謝罪は罪を認めた時に告げるのだもの。私が初めて出会うこの何かは私に対して犯した罪を認めてくれたのだ。つまりそれは私は何も悪くないということで、本当に悪いの何かのせいだということで、はは力なくカミソリを落とす。それは粘っこい血の海に落ちた。全身の痛みが押し寄せてくる。全身を自ら切り裂いた痛みが押し寄せてくる。さっきまではこの痛みを自らへの罰なのだと言い聞かせてきた。でも私は悪くなくて、この何かが本当は悪いのだから、私はこの痛みを罰として受け入れなくていい。だからもう自分の体を汚さなくてもいいのだ。彼女は心血にまみれた私にいつまでも謝り続けてくれた。鮮血な心血。いや。私が自分を責めたくなるたびに謝ってくれて、私が悪いのではないとずっとささやいてくれた。お社様はいる。いつも私についてくる。ペタペタ。そして私が自分の罪に耐えられなくなりそうになるたびに、レナは悪くないと謝って教えてくれた。 すべてお社様のたたりだった。ひなみ沢から出てはいけないという意味を破ったから、すべてが狂い出したのだ。This is not Emi. What is this? Kin? Yeah, Kin. Okay. Kin を破ったから。やっと思い出す。ひなみ沢から引っ越すとき、近所のおばあさんがお守りをくれたじゃないか。ひなみ沢から出ると、お社様のたたりがあるから、この役のけのお守りを持っていきなさいって。役よけ。OK。そうだ。くれた。確かにくれた。筆字で難しそうなことが書かれた報奨のようなものを確かにくれた。報奨。でも、引っ越した後にあれを見た覚えがない。きっと引っ越しの時にどこかになくしてしまったのだ。ならば仕方がない。ひなみ沢の人間は、ひなみ沢から出たら、たたりに会うのが決まりなのだ。私も母も、あるいはひょっとすると秋人おじさんも、すべてお社様のたたりで、おかしくなっていたのだ。誰も初めから悪くはなかったのだ。すべてお社様のたたりのせいだったのだから。誰も悪くない。誰も。私はようやくすべてを許せた。すべてを打ち壊し、すべてを怪我し、自らの身も心も怪我し尽くして、なお収まろうとはしなかった怒りがようやく収まったのだ。お父さん、私はやっと分かったよ。お母さんが出て行ってしまったのも、私もお父さんもこんなにも悲しくなってしまったのは、すべてお社様のたたりなの。お父さんは覚えているよね、社様。ひなみ沢の守り神の社様。うん、そうだったよね。ひなみ沢の人間は、汚れた属よ属性。属性に出てはいけないって、そういうことになっていたよね。だから、お母さんも汚れてしまったの。だからこれは社様のたたりなの。私たち一家はひなみ沢から出ていかなければきっと今でも幸せだったに違いない。それをね、お社様が私のところへ来てね、教えてくれたの。思い出せばお社様はずっと私にそれを教えてくれようとしていた。お母さんが出てしまって何のせいでこうなったのか分からず、何に怒りを向ければいいのか分からなかったあの頃から私にそれを伝えようといつもついてきていたんだもの。ずっとついてきてた。ひたペタペタ。でも私はそれに気づかないふりをしていた。ははは、私は鈍いんだね。 全身をこんなにも歪んでしまうまでお社様の声が聞こえなかったんだからね。もっともっとお社様の声に耳を傾けることができたなら、きっと秋人おじさんが現れた頃からお社様は警告してくれたんじゃないかと思うなって思う。だってひなみ沢に家族みんなで戻ればお母さんが浮気なんてしなかったんだもの。ひなみ沢で一家3人楽しく暮らせていたはずなのだ。それをお社様がずっとそうだそうさ、お社様はきっと私たちがひなみ沢を出た時から教えようとしてくれたんじゃないかな。いつだって私と一緒だった。いつもどこまでも私についてくれた。それを気のせいだと切り捨て、気づかないふりをしていた私が愚かだった。そう、私が愚かだったばかりにこんなことに。私がお社様の声に気づいていれば、私たち家族がたたりで不幸になるなんてことはなかったのに。私が愚かだった、愚鈍だった。すべてが私のせい。社様が謝ってる。謝り続けてる。こうなってしまった自分のせいだって謝り続けてる。そうだそうさ、私のせいじゃないよね。これはすべてお社様のたたりのせいだもんね。謝ってる。ごめんなさい。お社様がたくさん謝ってるよ。だから私もごめんなさい。あなたの声を聞くことができなくてごめんなさい。私たちがひなみ沢の人間、あなたの声を常に聞き続けていければならないのに。いるよ、お社様はいる。お父さんには聞こえないの？見えないの？今もそこで謝ってるよ。ごめんなさい。私も謝る。お父さんも謝ろう。お母さんは謝らなくていい。お母さんは社様のたたりで死んじゃえばいいんだ。お母さんが憎い。お母さんの血が私に流れてるのが憎い。このウジ虫も全部お母さんのせいなんだ。血の中のウジ虫が騒いでかゆいの。ごめんなさい。嫌だよ。その薬は飲まない。それはお母さんが私を殺すために用意した毒のカプセルなの。だから私は嫌だ。飲まないって言ってるでしょ。やめて。これはたたりなんだから薬なんかでは治せない。私の体のウジ虫は薬では治らないの。だってたたりなんだもん。注射も嫌だ。やめて。痛い。世界が灰色に落ち込んでいく。お父さんやお医者さんが騒ぐ声が遠くの出来事のよう。いや、つい先ほどのことさえ遠い昔のことのよう。そして私はまだあのカプセルを与えられ、ただいまの鮮烈な記憶さえ忘却のあちらに葬られてしまうのだ。私は再び天井だけを眺めて布団の中、目に入るもので動くもの、関心のあるものは時計の針だけ。チクタク。 分身がぐるりと回って自身がゆっくりとぐるり回るのを目で追うだけ。分身が分身。他にも見えているものはある。それも時計の針と同じで、ずっと同じことを繰り返し、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、私のせいでごめんなさい。お社様がずっと謝り続けている。チクタク、チクタク、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。チクタク、チクタク、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。それだけがずっと繰り返している。窓の外から忍び込んでくる夕暮れ時、夕暮れ時の日暮らしの鳴き声がなぜか一切大きいように感じられた。It's pretty powerful. I haven't read any Japanese aloud in a while. せめぎ合う。
ああ、すみません。うっかりしていました。どうなさいましたか、リカさん。
僕の友達がずっと長く入院していますが、その子はひなみ沢症候群ではないのですか？
それを誰に聞きましたか？
僕がそう思っただけです。どうなのですか？いいえ、貞子はひなみ沢症候群ではないのですか？
はい、両親との不仲とその両親の突然の死、彼女の心にはそれは一度に受け入れるにはあまりに大きすぎる出来事でした。それが引き金になったのかもしれません。
検査の結果は
レベル5です。上辺は非常に安定して見えますが、情緒は非常に不安定です。先日からサトシ君の見舞いも謝絶にしました。
サトシに聞きましたです。貞子の心の傷がなかなか癒えないと気にしていましたです。いりえ、貞子はどうなるのですか？いりえは僕の体を調べてたくさんのことが分かったのではないですか？
ええ、それはもちろんです。症状を抑える効果が期待される試薬も現在いろいろと試しているところです。
それを貞子に与えることはできませんのですか？
一度は考えました。しかしかなり危険です。体力や精神力に余裕がある検体に試し、少しずつデータを集めていこうという段階です。貞子ちゃんのようなもう後がない人間に試せるような代物ではありません。
では入江、その薬を試さないなら貞子はどうなってしまうのですか？ トコが 1% でも助かる可能性があるならそれにかけるべきだと思いますね。
非常に危険な賭けです。最悪の場合、彼女は即座に末期発症し錯乱するか、さもなければ人としての心を失い、一生を焦点の合わない目で壁を見て過ごす体になってしまうかもしれない。どちらもそれはあまりに過酷な運命です。
全身麻酔で痛みを感じさせずに眠ったままを殺す方がずっといいというの。いりえ、よく高野が言う通り医学に 100% はない。でもこのまま放置すれば聡子を待ち受ける運命は 100% の絶対の死しかないならば、どちらにかけるかは明白なはず。
そうですね、その通りです。
Okay, I need to use the bathroom. Give me a second. I'm just gonna set it on break for about 15 minutes. Be back.
That men have never seen before. Legend lives in all dynasties. The light of love shines evermore in the crypts of Atlantean kings. I found what I was looking for, mentioned right in evolution seed. I know it's like living inside a dream, but don't you ever get lost in the crowd. Lost in the crowd. Lost in the crowd.
that shit, pump 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 that shit.
Okay, let's finish this up. One more, I'm gonna finish this fragment, then call it a stream.
人の命を左右するとても辛い仕事に耐えている。本来人の生き死になど人間がどうにかしようというのがおこがましいこと。その重圧は背負った者にしかわからない。その重さは罪の意識と後悔の重さを加えて決められる。だから入江はまだまだ危険な薬を聡子に試せない。そうでしょう。でもだからあなたになら聡子を託せると思う。人の命はとても重い。その重みに耐えかねるのはあなたが人の命を大切にしたい心があるからこそよ。そんな心がなくしてどうして人を病気から救えるというの？高野みたいに人をモルモットとしか思ってないやつの治療薬なんか試せると思う？高野とあなたがそれぞれに薬を差し出したなら私は入江の薬の方が治るように思う。だって薬は人の心から生み出されるんだもの。自分の身から滴り落ちる雫で人を救いたいという気持ちが人の病を癒してくれる。
おっしゃる通りです。医者が薬のことで諭されるとは。
私は自分の体を他でもない聡子のために差し出した。私の体から注射針で抜き出したものは全て私から聡子に捧げる薬の雫。その雫から命の本当の重さを知り、日々後悔と自責を忘れないあなたが何かを抽出してくれたならそれが聡子に効かないわけがない。
賭けになります。聡子ちゃんが果たして受け入れてくれるかどうか。
聡子に伝える必要はありません。聡子にとってひなみ沢症候群を知ることは心の深い傷をもう一度えぐることにしかならないのだから。
解剖計画を中止させましょう。北条聡子に対する C103 投与実験に変更します。せめて 1% でもうまくいく確率が上がるように努力します。
大丈夫ですよ入江。絶対にうまくいきますです。
そんな楽観してはいけません。
大丈夫なのです。もう決まってることなのですから。これは古出神社の巫女様の心強いお告げです。ファイトオーなのですよ。
She's so cute. Okay, let's find what the next fragment I can read is, and then find a stopping place. Getting near the end of these fragments, I think. Not too many more left.
今日はこれくらいにしようか。気が乗らないみたいだからね。
Feel bad for Tomitake. He's a good dude. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Next stream to